The little girl's voice trembled, not with curiosity alone, but with something deeper, something that made the man freeze mid-step, his heart pounding like it had just been pulled out of his chest and thrown onto the pavement. The woman had already disappeared into the busy daylight crowd, her figure swallowed by honking cars, hurried footsteps, and the indifferent rhythm of the city. But something about her, something in the way she looked back, had left a crack in his soul wide open. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles hidden in everyday life, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Echoes of Stories. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Armin had always believed life was something you survived, not something you paused to understand. Ever since his wife passed away 3 years ago, leaving him alone with their daughter Meher, his days had blurred into a routine of responsibility. Mornings meant rushed breakfasts, mismatched socks, and silent promises to do better. Afternoons were spent working double shifts at a modest repair shop, and evenings were filled with bedtime stories he barely had the energy to finish. He loved Meher more than anything, but love didn't erase exhaustion. It didn't fix the emptiness that followed him like a shadow. That afternoon had been different. It was bright, almost unusually hopeful. Armin had taken Meher to a small park nearby, a rare break from their usual routine. She laughed as she chased pigeons, her tiny shoes scuffing against the gravel, her joy echoing in the open air. For a moment, Armin allowed himself to breathe. That's when he saw her. The woman stood near the old iron bench under a neem tree, holding a book but not reading it. Her gaze was distant, almost searching. When her eyes met Armin's, something strange flickered between them, recognition, confusion, maybe even pain. Armin had frowned, trying to place her face in the scattered memories of his past, but nothing clear came. Still, there was something familiar about her presence, something that tugged at a part of him he had long buried. Meher, always curious, wandered closer to the woman, drawn by her gentle smile. The woman knelt slightly, saying something soft that made Meher giggle. Armin watched cautiously but didn't intervene. It had been so long since he had seen someone interact with his daughter with such warmth. But then, just as suddenly as it began, the woman's expression changed. Her smile faltered, her eyes widened as if she had seen something she wasn't prepared for. She stood up quickly, murmured something barely audible, and turned away. She didn't just leave. She fled. And now, Meher's question hung in the air, fragile and heavy at the same time. Armin looked down at his daughter, her small hand clutching his fingers. He didn't have an answer, but something inside him refused to let the moment pass. Something told him that if he didn't act now, he would regret it for the rest of his life. "Stay here for a moment," he whispered, guiding her to sit on the bench, his voice gentler than usual. He hesitated, his instincts battling his responsibilities. Then, with a deep breath, he ran. The city blurred around him as he pushed through the crowd, his heart racing not just from the physical effort but from the weight of an unexplainable urgency. He caught glimpses of her, her pale blue scarf, the hurried way she moved, until finally, at the edge of a quieter street, he called out. She stopped. Slowly, she turned around, her eyes already filled with tears. Up close, the familiarity hit him harder. It wasn't just a vague sense anymore. It was real, undeniable, and painfully clear. Her name rose to his lips before he could stop it. Sana. The years fell away in an instant. Memories flooded back, laughter in college hallways, shared dreams under dim streetlights, promises whispered with reckless certainty. She had been his closest friend once, the one who knew his fears before he spoke them, the one who believed in him when no one else did. And then life had happened. Choices, mistakes, misunderstandings. They had drifted apart, their paths splitting so quietly that neither realized the distance until it was too late. "I didn't think it was you," she said, her voice trembling. "Not until I saw her." Armin swallowed hard. "Why did you run?" Sana looked away, wiping her tears quickly as if ashamed of them. Because I wasn't supposed to be part of your life anymore. Her words felt like a quiet storm. Armin struggled to understand, to piece together the emotions rushing through him. That's not your decision to make alone. She let out a soft, broken laugh. It was, back then. And I made the wrong one. There was a long silence, filled only by the distant noise of the city and the unspoken weight of their shared past. Sana finally looked at him again, her eyes searching his face as if trying to find the boy she once knew. She's beautiful, she whispered. She has your eyes. Armin felt something shift inside him. She has her mother's heart, he replied softly. The mention of his late wife didn't create distance, it created understanding. Sana nodded slowly, her expression filled with quiet respect. I heard about what happened, she said gently. I wanted to come, but I didn't think I had the right. Armin took a step closer, his voice steadier now. And now? Sana hesitated, her hands trembling slightly. Now I realize I never stopped caring. I just didn't know how to come back. Back at the park, Meher sat patiently on the bench, her small legs swinging as she watched people pass by. She didn't understand the weight of the moment unfolding, but she felt it in her heart, the way children often do. When Armin returned, Sana beside him, Meher's face lit up with recognition. The woman smiled, a little unsure but filled with warmth that felt genuine, almost familiar. This time, she didn't run. The days that followed weren't perfect. They were messy, uncertain, filled with cautious steps and unspoken fears. But they were also filled with something new, hope. Sana began visiting more often, her presence slowly weaving itself into their lives. She read stories to Meher, helped with homework, and brought laughter back into a home that had forgotten its sound. For Armin, it wasn't just about rekindling an old connection. It was about healing wounds he hadn't realized were still open. It was about learning that sometimes, life gives you another chance, not to erase the past, but to rewrite the future. And for Meher, it was simpler. She saw kindness. She felt love. And she held on to it with both hands. If this story touched your heart even a little, take a moment to like, share, and comment. Stories like these remind us that even in the busiest moments of life, there's always room for compassion, for forgiveness, and for second chances. Before we end, tell us in the comments, do you believe people deserve a second chance, even after they've walked away? Because sometimes, the people who leave the fastest are the ones who never truly wanted to go. And sometimes, all it takes is one question from a child, to bring them back home.